Ladies and gentlemen, champions, warriors of purpose, let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. and felt like the world was completely still? Like something divine was calling you? Like your spirit was nudging you awake while your body begged for sleep? And let me tell you, that's not a coincidence. That's not just insomnia. That's not just your bladder. That is an invitation. An invitation to shift, to evolve, to rise. Because between 3 and 5 a.m., the world is silent, but your destiny is loud. Let me break it down for you in 5 life-changing steps. If you do these things consistently, you won't just wake up early, you'll wake up your purpose. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the very first thing you must do is embrace stillness. Before your feet touch the ground, before your mind starts racing with tasks, obligations, and ambitions, pause. Let the silence wrap around you. This is not the time to scroll, to respond, or even to speak. This is the time to listen. Because in the stillness of the early morning, something profound happens. Your spirit speaks louder, and the noise of the world disappears. In this sacred silence, you're able to hear what you normally ignore during the day. When your mind isn't cluttered with distractions, your inner voice, your intuition, your divine guidance, your purpose begins to rise to the surface. Many people go through life reacting to external noise, never taking a moment to hear what's happening within. But those who practice stillness at the break of day are able to access clarity that others spend years searching for. Stillness is not emptiness, it's alignment. It's the moment when your heart syncs with your purpose. It's when your soul whispers things like start the business or reach out to that person or forgive and move on. These whispers don't shout, they come gently. And if you're not still, you miss them. Think about it like this. Imagine a muddy glass of water. If you keep shaking it, it stays cloudy. But if you let it sit, the dirt settles and the water becomes clear. Your mind works the same way. If you wake up and immediately jump into chaos, your thoughts stay cloudy. But if you sit in silence for just 5 minutes, clarity begins to emerge. And from that clarity, direction is born. Let me give you a simple but powerful example. There was a young entrepreneur who had been waking up in anxiety every day, scrambling to check email, social media, and his task list before the sun even rose. He felt overwhelmed, burnt out, and disconnected. One day he decided to change. Instead of reaching for his phone, he sat on the edge of his bed in silence, no talking, no thinking, just breathing and listening. That morning he had a sudden, clear thought, you're building the wrong thing. That thought shook him. He journaled about it. And over the next few weeks, he pivoted his entire business towards something more meaningful, more aligned with his heart, and it flourished. But that clarity didn't come from hustle. It came from stillness. So when you wake up between 3 and 5 a.m., don't rush to do. First, learn to be. Be still. Be quiet. Be present. Because in that stillness, you're not just waking up, you're tuning in. And when you tune in to the right frequency, you'll start to hear what you truly need. The answers, the ideas, the instructions, they're all there, but you've got to be still enough to hear them. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are not just waking from sleep, you are waking into power. And one of the most important things you can do in that moment is to speak with power by affirming your identity. Because the world will always try to define you based on your past, your mistakes, your environment, or your circumstances. But you have the authority, yes, the responsibility to speak over yourself and declare who you are becoming. You don't wait until you feel confident. You don't wait until everything looks perfect. You speak with power first because your words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every time you say I am, you're planting something into the soil of your mind and your spirit. And eventually what you say over and over again will take root and it will grow into your reality. When you affirm your identity, you're not being fake, you're being faithful to the future version of yourself that already exists. You're aligning your words with your destiny, not your doubt. Saying I am strong, I am disciplined, I am abundant, even if your current says otherwise, is not delusion, it's vision. And vision always comes before manifestation. You are not your fears. You are not your flaws. You are not your failures. But if you keep affirming your pain, your lack, your excuses, your life will start to reflect those words. That's why affirming your identity is so powerful. It gives your soul the direction to follow. Words shape belief, and belief shapes behavior, and behavior, that shapes everything. Let me give you an example. There was a woman who had struggled for years with low confidence. She had talent, ideas, and vision, but every time she got close to stepping into a bigger opportunity, she would shrink. She didn't see herself as a leader. Then one morning, she decided to change her pattern. Instead of scrolling her phone first thing in the morning, she stood in the mirror at 4:30 a.m. and began declaring, "I am a bold leader. I am a solution. I am called to impact lives. I am worthy of the stage." At first it felt silly, but she kept doing it. Day after day, morning after morning. And over time, her posture changed, her voice changed, her decisions changed. And before long, she found herself leading a powerful movement that touched thousands of people because she finally believed the words she was speaking. Your words are your weapons. Your words are your foundation. And between 3 and 5 a.m., you've been given a blank canvas. You get to decide how the story goes. Speak power, speak purpose, speak identity. Don't let your emotions do the talking. Let your vision take the mic. Affirm who you are, not based on where you've been, but based on where you're going. And watch how your world begins to shift in response. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are stepping into one of the most sacred spaces of your day, free from noise, full of clarity. It is in this space that you must do more than just think about your dreams. You must capture them. That's why journaling with intention is so powerful. It's not just about writing, it's about recording the vision before the world tries to erase it. Your mind is a garden, and your journal is the soil. Every word you write is a seed, but seeds don't grow unless they're planted with purpose. That's where intention comes in. Journaling with intention means you're not just venting emotions or writing random thoughts. You're declaring your future on paper. You're mapping your next move. You're organizing your faith into words and plans. The early hours of the morning are when your thoughts are pure, your spirit is most connected, and your distractions are at their lowest. This is when inspiration is at its peak. But inspiration is like a spark, it fades fast if you don't capture it. So when you wake up and your mind starts to speak ideas, revelations, or reminders, don't leave them floating in your head. Write them down. Your future self is depending on what you choose to remember today. Writing things down makes your vision real. It forces you to see the gap between where you are and where you're going, and then bridges that gap with clarity and focus. Whether it's goals, ideas, a personal mission statement, or specific actions you need to take, journaling transforms thoughts into stars. And what gets written gets reviewed. What gets reviewed gets refined. What gets refined gets results. Here's a simple but powerful example. There was a man who had a dream of writing a book that would impact lives, but he kept delaying it, overwhelmed by life, unsure where to start. One morning at 3:45 a.m., he woke up with a sentence burning in his heart. Instead of going back to sleep, he got up, opened his journal, and wrote the sentence down. The next morning, he wrote another one, then an outline, then a chapter. Within 6 months, that journal became the foundation of a finished manuscript. The book went on to change lives not because he had all the answers from the start, but because he wrote with intention in the quiet hours when clarity spoke loudest. You don't need to know everything to journal. You just need to be honest and intentional. Don't write what you think sounds good, write what your spirit is telling you. Write what you're valuing. Write what you're believing for. Write what you're committed to becoming. Between 3 and 5 a.m., your journal becomes more than a notebook. It becomes a portal to your potential. Record the vision and keep showing up to build ITD. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your spirit may be alert, but your body still feels heavy. That's natural. But this is not the time to go back to sleep. It's the time to activate your body and move with energy. Why? Because your body is not just a container, it's a conduit. It carries your purpose, your mission, and your message. And if you want your life to move forward, you've got to move yourself first. Movement creates momentum. When you activate your body, even with something as simple as stretching, walking, or doing a few push-ups, you're sending a signal to your brain, we're alive, we're focused, and we're ready to build. Too many people wait for motivation to move, but motivation is unreliable. Movement, on the other hand, generates motivation. The energy you need doesn't come from waiting, it comes from doing. This early morning window isn't just about spiritual clarity. It's about physical discipline. Because your body and your mind are connected. When your body is stiff and sluggish, your mind slows down too. But when your blood is flowing, when your muscles are stretched, when your breath is deep and intentional, suddenly you feel awake. You feel aligned. You feel empowered. Your body doesn't need a full gym session at 4 a.m. It just needs motion. A walk around your house, 20 jumping jacks, deep breathing while holding a squat, or even yoga poses on the floor. This isn't about aesthetics, it's about activation. It's about telling your nervous system it's time to go. It's time to grow. Let me give you a short example. There was a man who kept waking up around 4:15 a.m. He felt inspired to do something with that time, but every morning found himself groggy, sitting still, and eventually falling back asleep. One day, he decided to change that. The next time he woke up early, he stood up immediately and did 25 jumping jacks. His heart rate rose, his breathing deepened, and his mind cleared. Then he went for a 10-minute walk in his backyard while repeating his affirmations out loud. That simple act of movement sparked something in him. The clarity he found on those walks led him to launch a small business idea he'd been sitting on for years. And it all started with moving his body when most people were still asleep. You don't need to be an athlete. You just need to move. Purpose requires energy, clarity requires flow, and action requires discipline. Your body is not your barrier, it's your vehicle. And when you treat it like a partner in your purpose, everything starts to shift. So when you rise between 3 and 5 a.m., don't just wake up your mind, wake up your movement. Because energy isn't found, it's activated. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your mind is open, your soul is alert, and the world is quiet. This is not just a window for silence or stillness, it's a divine opportunity to feed your spirit. And the best way to feed your spirit is to learn with hunger. The same way your body needs breakfast to function, your soul needs wisdom to grow. Your dreams, your goals, your assignment, they are all fueled by what you feed yourself in the quiet hours of the morning. You don't grow by accident. You grow on purpose. That means you must be intentional about what you consume in those early hours. Instead of reaching for your phone to check notifications, reach for a book that builds your mindset. Instead of playing music that numbs you, listen to a teaching that ignites you. The information you consume when the world is asleep will shape who you are when the world wakes up. Learning with hunger means approaching growth with desperation, not casually, but with a deep sense that your next level is locked inside the next lesson you're willing to learn. It means saying, I can't afford to stay the same, and then proving it by seeking out knowledge that stretches your mind and fuels your purpose. It's not about stuffing your brain with facts, it's about nourishing your spirit with truth. One idea, one insight. One word of wisdom at 4 a.m. can unlock a door that's been closed for years. That's why the most successful people are lifelong students. They wake up with questions and go to bed with answers. They're always looking to sharpen their edge because they know dull tools don't cut through destiny. Let me give you an example. There was a young man who was struggling to find direction. He had energy, he had time, but no focus. One night, he prayed for clarity. The next morning, he woke up at 3:30, a man that couldn't fall back asleep. Instead of tossing and turning, he picked up a book that had been sitting on his shelf for months, a book on leadership and discipline. He read just one chapter. In that chapter, there was a principle about creating daily routines that changed everything for him. That morning, he created a morning ritual. That ritual became a habit. That habit became the structure that helped him launch a 6-figure business within a year. And it all started by learning with hunger in a quiet moment most people sleep through. If you want to grow, you have to feed your spirit consistently, intentionally, and with urgency. Don't wait for inspiration. Seek it, hunt it, study it. Because what you learn in secret will shape who you are in public. Your spirit will only go as far as your mind is willing to grow. So when you rise early, don't waste that time invested in learning something that multiplies your life. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are not just awake by coincidence, you are being called. This time is not ordinary, it is sacred. It is a divine invitation to step away from the noise of life and connect directly with your source. And that connection happens through focused prayer, not rushed, distracted, or robotic prayer, but intentional, present, powerful communication with the one who holds your purpose, your pursuit, and your provision. Praying with focus means you don't just recite words, you engage your heart. You're not just checking a spiritual box, you're opening a channel for direction, strength, and clarity. Focused prayer is not about how long you pray, but how real you are in those moments. You can't connect deeply when your mind is scattered, your heart is half in, and your mouth is moving on autopilot. That's why this early window of the morning is so powerful. Your spirit is undistracted, your mind is calm, and heaven is listening. This is the time to speak from your soul, to pour out your worries, your gratitude, your goals, to ask for guidance, wisdom, and strength. But focused prayer is not only about speaking, it's also about listening. Listening for that quiet nudge, that still voice, that inner whisper that tells you go this way, or let that go, or wait, it's not time yet. These moments are sacred because the clarity you receive in prayer can unlock peace that no strategy, no person, and no effort can give. Praying with focus realigns your spirit. It brings your mind back to what really matters. When you start your day with focused connection, you don't react to life, you respond with wisdom. You're not shaken by chaos, you're anchored purpose. The world may be loud, but you've already been filled in the quiet. And that makes all the difference. Let me give you a simple but powerful example. There was a woman who felt lost in her life. She had talent and dreams, but lacked direction. Every day felt like she was running in circles. Then one night, unable to sleep, she woke up at 4 a.m. Something inside her said, pray, so she did. Not a formal or fancy prayer, just honest words whispered in the dark. She asked for clarity. She asked for the courage to move. And then she sat in silence. That silence filled her with an unexpected peace. Over the next few mornings, she made it a routine, waking early, praying with full attention. Within weeks, her anxiety faded, ideas began to flow. An old opportunity resurfaced. She moved with confidence, not confusion. And it all started when she chose to focus her prayer instead of rushing through it. You don't need to be perfect to pray. You just need to be present. Between 5 a.m., you're not just awake, you're being invited. So pray with focus, speak with honesty, listen with expectation, and let that connection to your source fuel everything you do. Waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. gives you more than quiet, it gives you control. In those sacred early hours before the noise of the world begins, you have a powerful opportunity to plan with strategy and design your day with intention. Too many people move through life reacting instead of creating. They respond to emails, messages, and problems without a clear direction. But when you take time to strategically plan your day, you stop living on accident and start living on assignment. Planning with strategy is not just about writing a to-do list. It's about prioritizing what matters most. It means asking yourself, what must be accomplished today to move me closer to my vision? It means focusing on high-impact activities, not just busy work. When you strategize your day in the early morning, You're not operating from pressure, you're operating from purpose. One of the biggest enemies of productivity is vagueness. If your day isn't defined, distractions will define it for you. But if you take time before the sun rises to decide your top 3 priorities, block your time, and set clear intentions, you'll move through the day with focus and momentum. You'll stop being pulled in every direction because you've already chosen your direction. This is also the best time to align your daily plan with your long-term goals. Every great life is built one day at a time. And every great day is built one decision at a time. So when you plan with strategy in the early hours, you're taking ownership of your time, and that means you're taking ownership of your time. Let me give you a real example. There was a man trying to build a side business while working a full-time job. He always felt behind, like he didn't have enough time. One morning, he woke up at 4:30 a.m., sat at his desk, and decided to map out his day in blocks. 30 minutes for spiritual practice, 45 minutes for business strategy, 8 hours for work, and 2 90-minute windows in the evening for execution. He wrote it all down with clear, specific actions, not just vague goals. That day he finished everything he planned. He felt in control, clear-headed, and productive. He repeated the process the next morning. Within 6 months, he doubled his income, and he credited it all to one shift, planning with strategy before the day even started. You don't need more time, you need better strategy. You don't need to do everything, you need to do the right things. And the best time to make those decisions is when your mind is fresh and the world is still asleep. So don't leave your day to chance. Design it with wisdom. Architect it with vision. Set the tone before the world sets it for you. Plan with strategy, and you won't just get more done, you'll get the right things done. And that's the key to building a life of purpose, one day at a time. Or the next time you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., don't roll over. Don't grab your phone. Place the call. You're not waking up by accident. You are waking up because the vision tied to your name, because greatness is trying to reach you before distraction does. Because your purpose is louder in silence than in chaos. You are chosen. You are called. You are capable. Don't go back to sleep, Geo, back to purpose. Let's rise.